a kind of not so much like explanation, but just like any kind of like thing as to what happened between you and your former band member, and I guess like yeah, like just like what happened with that, and so like what has that been like? You like been like for you? I'm sorry, since that took place.
Yeah. So Theo went by New Origin back when he was in the group. He's probably the most, I would say, like a mixture of like technical skill and creative skill. He's probably like the highest ranked like artist I've ever worked with, and that's like always how I'm going to see him. And it's like we had a lot of big goals with TheKnuBlack, a lot of big dreams, and we started it. I had dropped out of college for about a year and a half, or maybe a couple years or so, because I had to like work and pay off tuition, and I owed like some money on my other account. So I was working actually full time when we started the group, and then I went back to college shortly afterwards. And so we kind of had a few years where we were both college students. He was down at Abilene Christian, and we could kind of just go to class, work on music, go to class, work on music, and it was kind of just the perfect time to be in a group and collaborate that way. I drove to Texas to like record one of our albums. Him and his wife came up to Nashville. I was actually childhood friends with his wife. So it was kind of like everything felt like perfect time, perfect place, perfect people. But in like towards the end of 2017, when Ohana came out, I think all of our kind of big goals and big dreams and stuff started weighing down on us, because it was getting close to my graduation. And then it was getting close to his graduation from grad school. And it was just like the realities of life. Like, you know, I'm getting married. We got student loans to pay off. He has like undergrad and grad student loans and stuff like that. I have my own student loans to pay off. We have a lot of bills. There's a lot of like family drama and stuff on my end, possibly both of our ends. And I think we were just in a different place in life than we were when we started the group, with just the amount of responsibilities we were both about to start taking on. So then we started having like some creative differences, some strategy differences about how we wanted to approach keeping the group going. And yeah, we just couldn't like reconcile the different ideas and different things we wanted to do together as a group. And it always, looking back, it always feels like, you know, before it's time. It feels like, you know, we ended stuff before maybe it was time to. But then we both learned a lot, and I don't think we would have become the artists that we are currently, just like work ethic wise and drive wise and creativity wise, without having worked with each other. So that's kind of how I like to look back on it, like that.
Okay. And yeah, and then you know, just the last thing I wanted to ask was like, what's something that you've learned from your time in TheKnuBlack?
I learned a lot from Theo, just about not being afraid to share what you make and reach out to people and kind of believe in what you're doing. He was constantly like emailing people and like really believing in us, and believing in the music, and reaching out to see who would support it and all of that. I kind of, you know, always just made music and felt like I'll just put it out and, you know, maybe somebody will find it. And I'm just kind of happy that I was able to vent and like use it as my mode of expression, and thankful for, you know, the few people that listen to it. But he kind of showed me that there's like a humble way to do that, and to really still kind of push your product out there, and to show that you're trying to make it to be a benefit to other people, and not just like, you know, hey, run my streams up. Hey, like, you know, give me 5,000 followers and I'll put a new song out. It's not like that. And then I also learned, I guess it's something I always knew, because like I said, I grew up in like instrumental ensembles and orchestra, but one of my favorite things is just collaborating with other musicians. And that I kind of like, kind of grew to love that when I was playing in the orchestra, just like listening to all the other parts that you can't really make the song without everybody else playing. So kind of seeing that in rap music with Theo, we were like in their house, and we had one of his friends that was singing, and she sang on the Van Gogh album, and then we had another one of his friends that did vocals, and then we had the minister down there at the church sing on a couple songs on poetry, and then at the very end of the album. So just seeing the way that rap and hip hop can be really collaborative as well was like a dream. That was like really cool. And it's not, it's not you. It doesn't have to be like you on your own creatively. And I also really like Andy Mineo's, like the thing he did like a while back, those cartoon shows where it kind of like documented him in the studio working with all the other artists. So yeah, just learned about like how much collaboration can kind of bring a project to life more than like you doing everything on your own.
Absolutely. And then I will say too, like, just, and speaking of collaborating, like, it's like really exciting for me at least, like seeing like two like artists that I really enjoy like collaborate or with somebody new, and it just like really works. Like one I can think about that was just like unexpected for me was, I don't know if you heard the song with Marty and Wande.
No, I didn't hear that one yet.
But yeah, like it like worked like really well. Like I don't know if I would have like put them together in my mind, but like it just like like when it works, it works. So
yeah.
So on another kind of topic, let's talk about songwriting. Yeah. So do like most of your songs typically come from personal experience?
I'll say like maybe like 60-70%. Yeah. There's some songs that are more like I'm writing in the mindset of a character. I think I kind of learned that from being in the TheKnuBlack. We would write a lot of like story type songs, more so like stuff like The Tank, where we kind of made up a character in our head and like made up a fictional story about what's going on. So I have some songs like that. But I think now with my solo music, I'm exploring like sharing my own experiences and like and perceptions of things from a Christian like worldview. So yeah, I'd say a lot of it now is from personal experience. Maybe back in the TheKnuBlack, less so.
On your YouTube channel, you made a video at the end of last year about just wanting to connect more with your fans. So how has that been lately? And like, do you kind of like find it like weird at all to have fans, or just, I don't know, anything like that?
No, I want to make more of those YouTube videos. I haven't like gotten I should have by now. I haven't gotten down to like a production schedule for just keeping my YouTube channel fed. And shooting the Never Out or Even music video was like, I think, a hurdle that once we crossed it, now I can feel like more like apt about like video editing and stuff like that. That, instead of just shooting something on my iPhone with like, bad sound quality, which bothers me. But yeah, I love like talking to my fans, and I don't feel like too important to respond to people. I take my time when I respond, because if I'm not like in the right mind frame, like I don't want to just look at somebody's message if it's like, a paragraph and then just write back like 3 words. So I'd rather like take my time and like have time to dedicate to responding to people. But I love the engagement and the interaction, and people sent me like long emails about how they found my songs and they let their kids listen to them and their kids like them and they're so thankful, just stuff like that. That stuff's like really like touching, and it like it just motivates you to do more. And without people like letting me know that they're listening to it, all I have is like Spotify stats and Apple Music stats, and they don't show you who is listening. It just says 20 people listen today, and they're just a number. But so like the YouTube comments and Twitter replies and Instagram messages and all that stuff, it kind of just lets me know like it puts a face to the to the stats, and I love that. And plus I have like artists that I love. I'm a big music fan, so I have artists that I love listening to, just in music in general, like not even in CHH, that they respond to their fans. And I think like it's amazing when somebody is able to kind of put, you know, themselves aside and just talk to the people that are like listening to their music, because they're kind of getting a part of you, and they're like learning a part of you. So you know, to be able to respond to that, it's kind of like having a conversation.
What's something that you would want your fans or just people to know about you that they don't?
That they don't. I think just as they keep listening, more and more about like who I am is going to come out in the songs. And like I haven't been like super vocal like presence wise on the internet, but that's like kind of changing this year. I feel like I'm engaging more and like putting more stuff out since like 2019 into 2020. But yeah, I mean, I think just I'm a Christian. I love music. I grew up playing like instruments since I was like maybe like 4 or 5, and I want everybody to understand like how powerful God is, and how powerful you can be when you're connected to God, just because God is, you know, all powerful, and God is the ultimate resource. So it's like, you know, don't limit yourself. And I guess I want them to know that about me, that is how I think. Like, I don't think in terms of like limits and what you can't do and what, you know, has been tried and failed. Like, I think about, well, maybe they didn't try this or that. So I guess I want them to know that about me. I'm a very like optimistic, like it can be done type of person.
Yeah, and then just to kind of piggyback on that, like I feel like something you talked about is like confidence too, and just like having, I guess, like confident like songs, or just like a confident vibe in the song, and like I feel like that's just very telling too. Okay. But to kind of switch gears, want to talk about just more like life, you know, like types of things. So who's your support system, like just in life and in your music especially?
Well, my husband, like number one, he doesn't listen to music really at all. He listens to like a lot of 90s rap and like KRS-One, and like back he listens to like 70s music and disco and stuff like that. He was born in 89, so I mean, you would think like he's up on like, you know, at least Kendrick and like J. Cole and stuff like that, which he likes those guys, but he's like a really like he's an old head with rap music, so he didn't even know what Spotify was while we were dating, and I was like, can you at least like download it so you can listen to my music? So yeah, but he's like my support system 100%. My mom, just my parents, like they put me in music classes when I was music and dance. I was like 2 years old, and music I was like 5 or 6. And then my dad like bought me all like my recording equipment and my first condenser microphone, and my mom like put me in performing arts camp and just and everything. So I'll say, yeah, in like personal life, that's pretty much it. My aunt, I would just say like mostly family on the personal side and music side. I don't really have a lot of like close artist friends that I work with, but yeah, I think my family kind of like keeps me encouraged and grounded.
So you've been married for a few years now. So just like if you're comfortable sharing, so what's you guys' love story? I'm always interested to ask that.
We met, so let's see, this is like 2012. 2013, I think it was like 2012. So we're both members of the Church of Christ. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's not a denomination, but it's basically kind of like models after the New Testament church, exactly as it is in the Bible. So there are different congregations like all over the world, all over the country, but we were using the hashtag on like Facebook or Twitter or something, and just put like hashtag Church of Christ, like if we had like Sunday service or something like that. So he followed me and said, hey, I live in New Jersey. And this was back when I was like working. I wasn't back in college, I don't think. But anyway, I was like, yeah, I live in New Jersey, but I live in Central Jersey. He's like, oh, I live in North Jersey. He was like, I didn't know Central Jersey exists. or is it existed or something. So I was like, yeah, it exists. You know, I live down here and there's woods and trees and farmland. And he was like, oh, I live up by New York. You know, I'm a city person. Like, you know, the city's the best area to live in. You know, I like being in the action and stuff. So we were just, you know, we joked back and forth and talked here and there. But I just like, you know, having a Christian friend that could talk about just everyday life type stuff. It wasn't like always a Bible study going. It was kind of talking about maybe like world events, but still Christ-like conversation. So yeah, he said like, hey, we should go to Six Flags or something one day, which is in Jackson, New Jersey. I don't know if you've been there, but we didn't get to do that. But we eventually like met up at Princeton train station in New Jersey and took a trip to Central Park in New York and walked around. There he showed me all over like New York, because I lived in New Jersey my whole life, but down like in like the Central Park. So I'd never gotten a lot of experience like on the subways and in New York and in the city. And I was like, okay, you're right. You know, this is pretty cool. I prefer like grass and trees and stuff, but you know, the skyline's cool and whatever. So we just stayed friends and kept talking. And he just asked me out to be his girlfriend, like right before I left for college. And I was going all the way down to Nashville, Tennessee. So he kind of waited like until the last minute, I guess, and just told me that. I'm like, well, this is nice. And now I'm not going to see you for, you know, months, and I'm going to be all the way down in the south part of the United States. But yeah, so that was kind of that. And then we dated until I think August 2017. And that was when we got engaged. And then we got married in January 7th. I think we were like the first marriage in the state of New Jersey that year. So that was pretty cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is so sweet.
He's like sports. He loves like football, basketball, everything sports. Doesn't really follow music. So
I saw you had a tweet that got like a lot of retweets about Central Jersey. So like, what exactly like was that about? Because I was kind of confused. I've only been in New Jersey like one time, and I kind of I was in a house. It was like a retreat thing for my school, and we didn't like really do anything. All we did was just take the train there, and that was it.
See, like, I don't know. New Jersey has a cockiness about it, and so does New York. And I was born in Virginia. So my mom's family, my whole family's from like Virginia, North Carolina. So I'm like Southerner at heart, but I was raised in New Jersey. I don't know why they wanted to do that. But so I have like no sentimental ties to New Jersey, but like I grew up there. So I just felt like saying, I don't know how to explain it to somebody that's like not from New Jersey. It's just like a hidden kind of chip on your shoulder, I guess, when you're from the not cool part of New Jersey. If you're not from by Philly, which is South Jersey, or if you're not from New York, then people don't think you exist for some reason. They don't think that part of the state exists. It's kind of just like not like a state pride thing or like a city pride. Like, you know how you can claim like you're from New York City or like you're from Chicago, like Chi-Town. Like, it's just like people from Central Jersey are not allowed to do that about like being from New Jersey, which is just weird. It's just like a weird thing. But
That's unfair.
like North Jersey, like Newark and South. Well, I used to live in Newark. Then I moved to South Orange, so I'm still in North Jersey right now. So it's like Newark, Irvington, basically all of North Jersey can kind of like belittle people from the southern part of the state, like we're not cool or something. And then people from South Jersey are just in a whole nother, that's like being in like Alabama almost. So I don't know, it was just kind of, I saw the tweet. Yeah, I saw the tweet. I saw everybody like arguing back and forth about South Jersey versus North Jersey, South Jersey versus North Jersey. And I was just like, you know, like Central Jersey, we're unbothered. Like, you know, we don't really care. We're not even going to participate. And they just took it like a certain way. Like, you can't be unbothered if you don't exist and stuff like that. So that was just a bunch of, it wasn't nothing serious. It's nothing serious. It's just like when you tell somebody that you're from Central Jersey up here, they're like, you know, so, yeah.
So I noticed two things that seems to be like really significant to you and that you identify with. So the first is the spaceship emoji. So kind of like Tell us about that, like why that's significant for you.
So just like one of the comments I've gotten like from a lot of different people over the years is like, you're not a human, like you're not, you know, you're an alien, like you're not real. This is like if they're talking about like a song that they like that I made or something, they're like yo, Kay isn't a human, yo, Kay is not a human being, like Kay like killed this. So there's that. When I was little, I was always fascinated with like space, and I read like I got to go to the library and like choose a book that I wanted. And out of all the books, I chose a book about black holes and like how you would get sucked in and basically disintegrate if you went into a black hole. So it's kind of like I guess like stuff I was interested in when I was little, and then seeing some of the comments, and then I don't know if you know, like recently, but they just kind of released classified evidence that the government was studying unidentified flying objects, and they were not, you know, telling the public about what they were doing, but they kind of admitted to it earlier on in 2020. Just, you know, of course, 2020 is the year that we would find out about that of all years.
And no one kind of cares. I think
no one cares. Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, you know, of course there's aliens. Yeah, next, you know. But I mean, that's not to say that they're aliens at all. But so I think the UFO for me symbolizes what people don't know or understand, like not writing it off, because we don't know the full scope of even what God created. We have his word, and that's all we need to go by in order to do what he wants us to do. It doesn't mean we know everything. It doesn't mean we understand everything about what he's doing and why he's doing it. But it's kind of like if you don't have faith that there is a God and that you were created, you cannot completely write it off, just because there's too much out there for you to be committed to saying nothing exists. So I mean, I think that's kind of how I see it, because there could always be evidence, you know, later down the line, like we saw earlier in 2020, where they just released all these government records that they were studying, you know, UFOs and unidentified flying objects and stuff. It's like there can always come a time when something new will be revealed to you, or some new evidence will show up. So it's like if you don't want to have faith in God, it's like you just can't, as a human being, completely say God does not exist, and that's a fact. So I think it's kind of just being open to possibilities, but also as a Christian, knowing that whatever is in outer space, God created that too, right? So if there are other planets and galaxies that we don't know about, it's still all under God's jurisdiction. So as a Christian, I kind of want to take all of that, because some people try to turn science into a religion, and they try to, you know, calculate how old Earth is based on their, you know, heat dating methods and stuff like that, and say, oh, the flood didn't happen because science, or oh, God didn't make the world in 6 days because science. And I kind of just want to like claim that whole realm and just say, no, this is ours too. Like, you know, science is the study of the natural world, you know, but that's all under God's jurisdiction too. That's all, you know, a part of the Christian faith too, that God created the entire universe. So it's like, you guys can't turn to science to completely write off Christianity. So I think it's kind of like reclaiming that as well.
Other thing that I wanted to ask about is that you call yourself a Narnian warrior. So please, like, forgive me if I like just like am like interpreting it wrong. But is that related to the Chronicles of Narnia at all? And if so, I like barely watched that movie, unfortunately. So I don't really know. I just know like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, I can talk about that a little bit. I'm like a big Narnia fan, like nerd, I guess. A lot of people like Harry Potter, which I've never read. I don't even think I've seen like a full Harry Potter movie. I don't watch like, I've never seen like Star Wars or any of those type of movies. But for some reason, we read the Chronicles of Narnia when I was little, like in grade school, and read the book. And when I was when I was maybe like in middle school or something, I think, I heard some, and I'd seen like an old movie that they made based on the book. I think it was from like earlier, maybe like 1970s or 80s or something like that. But I was just combing my hair one day when I was in like middle school or something, and I heard some music, and I wasn't watching the TV, and it was like around Christmas time or something like that, and I just heard some music playing. I was like, this sounds like it's the Chronicles of Narnia. And I turn around and it's a preview for the movie, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that she said like you've seen. So it was just like, I don't know how I like just like felt like that music would be in the Chronicles of Narnia, but it turned out it was going to be a movie. So I like freaked out, and we went and saw it in theaters. And then they made Prince Caspian, the next movie. They made The Voyage of Dawn Treader, and I know they're supposed to be doing something on Netflix where they take the rest of the movies and turn them into like short Netflix films or something. But I don't know if that's like going to get off the ground or not at this point, because all the actors and actresses are like aged out. But when I watched the movies, I was like, okay, I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Like, what else is there? And I learned about C.S. Lewis, and he's like, you know, an apologist, like one of the most famous apologists. And just reading C.S. Lewis, and I just like love his understanding of how the Bible applies to the world, and how you like can dissect the world like through the Bible and just understand things. And I was like, I want to read all the Narnia books. So I bought all 7 books, and I read them over Christmas break. And my dad was yelling at me because I wasn't coming to dinner and I wasn't like engaging with the family. I was like, I just want to read my books, and they're children's books also. So I was like, you know, 19-year-old or whatever, reading like Narnia over here like a little 6-year-old. But it was just like everything was kind of like presented like it would be to a little child, like if you were explaining the gospel to a little kid. But when you're an adult and you go back and read it, it makes so much sense, because it feels like how Jesus says, like, be as little children. It kind of feels like spiritual things being presented to you in such a basic and understandable way that we make so complicated. And so yeah, I just became like a really big Narnia fan. I have like multiple DVDs, but I feel like a lot of just pop culture is not like Christian centric, and Narnia is. So it's like if people can go hard for like Harry Potter and Twilight and stuff, like I have my books too, you know, the Chronicles of Narnia, and it's all Christian themes, and it's like I have some other friends that like it, but maybe they don't ascribe to, you know, the Christian faith. But I'm like, hey, you know, when you talk to me about this book, you know, he's talking about Jesus, or he's talking about, you know, the Bible, or he's talking about, you know, pride and how the Bible speaks on pride. Or when Aslan says, like, I go by another name in your world, I say, you know, the name he's talking about is Jesus, right? It's like, you know, all the principles that you're enjoying from these books is all biblical principles in the first place. So I don't know, I just love Narnia like that, and I want to be able to tell stories in my music and like present my music in a creative way that maybe is not explicitly even using the book names in the Bible, or the exact wording in scripture, but it's still presenting the principles the exact same way, maybe even in disguise for people who don't want to they don't want to see a Bible, or they don't want to hear a Bible verse, but then, you know, they can understand and agree with the same principle that the Bible taught in the first place. And then maybe when they realize, wait, this is just coming out of the Bible, it's like, yes, so you do agree with Christianity, and you do agree with Jesus. It's like, you just, you know, maybe, you know, judge something by its cover. But so that's what Narnia kind of means to me.
If you enjoyed this episode of Personal Pizza Party Show, like this video, comment below, and consider subscribing. Check out Kay's music on all streaming platforms, and be sure to follow her on social media. Also, feel free to hit me up on social media. Tune in next week for a brand new episode. As always, thank you so much for sharing a slice of life with me, and I'll see you later. My name is Jada, and I'm your host. I'm a creative, Chicago native.